Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames. It's been far too long since I put some original content up, and after a crazy as fuck vacation, something struck me about theme parks and video games. Namely, Nintendo's recent investment and desire to break into them. Now, this may seem a bit of a stretch for a video game channel, but after my recent experiences in Florida, I think there's some very, very good reasons for Nintendo fans to be excited. Growing up in a place that's a car ride away from the original Disneyland, I feel I know a thing or two about good theming, both in good ways and bad. For example, for the first time in my life, I got to experience Disney World in Orlando, and the takeaway experience for me was mostly a resounding meh. The Magic Kingdom in particular was an extremely underwhelming experience compared to the original Disneyland Resort, where I had been led to believe my whole life how much bigger and better everything in Florida was. The interesting thing, however, was the parks I visited before Disney World, and that was Universal Studios Florida, and much more specifically, Islands of Adventure. I'm not sure exactly what happened over the past 15 years or so, whether it be a walkout or simply a lack of talent coming in, but Disney has seriously dropped the fucking ball recently with their theme parks. Perhaps it's all gone into making Shanghai Disneyland for park guests to piss all over, but for me, Disney was always the gold standard for theming and nobody came close. That is until I visited Islands of Adventure and Harry Potter lands in particular. I have never seen the level of work put into the atmosphere and technology that is on display in both Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, and even the train connecting the two. I don't even particularly like Harry Potter all that much, and what Universal has done is make even the jaded muggles want to be a part of that world. Both the lines and especially the ride itself for Gringotts and Forbidden Journey have utterly squashed what Disney has done in many years, both in atmosphere and technology. I did see construction was fairly far along in Animal Kingdom for Pandora and Avatar Land, but really, who even gives a shit about that anymore?
Totally gonna go back to see it.
The interaction of storefronts with the wands, the hidden shops, the frothy crack they sell called butterbeer, sure beats the shit out of Radiator Springs, and that's still a fairly impressive new area and ride, though sadly it's based on fucking cars of all things. Tying this all back into video games though, is the fact that Nintendo has already announced plans with Universal Studios to make a Nintendo themed area in Universal Osaka, and Miyamoto himself was at the Orlando parks the same days we were filming something. This is all potentially exciting news, as Universal has not only proved they can compete with Disney World, but exceed them. Now, for the rest of this video, I am going to offer my completely free advice on how and where to build Nintendo Land and why you should all be geeked out. First of all, Islands of Adventure is built off the idea of different themed islands. Duh. Depending on how you look at it, there's between 5 and 7 areas. There's Marvel Island, Toon Lagoon, Jurassic Park, Hogsmeade, Lost Continent, and Seuss Landing. Also the entrance area in King Kong between Toon Lagoon and Jurassic Park. Personally speaking, Seuss Landing I found the most nauseating. Its overly bright pastel off colors on everything surrounding you made me pretty queasy. But to be fair, Seuss shit is still relevant and popular with Blue Sky Studios films, so I can't see that getting shuttered anytime soon. The water ride themed area, however, Toon Lagoon, has got to go. Toon Lagoon is based off Jay Ward comic strip characters and the like, and what that means is mostly newspaper comics from 25 to 30 years ago. Their two big rides are based off Popeye, which is probably the most recognizable character in the whole area, and a big-ass log ride based on Dudley Do-Right. It's not that the theming is bad in this area, but nobody younger than me has a fucking clue who Dudley Do-Right is, let alone Gasoline Alley, Kathy, and Beetle Bailey. I even had to explain to Max what Dudley Do-Right was on the ride. We live in an era where most kids have little concept of the characters from both Looney Tunes and Mickey Mouse's extended friends. I know this because I've witnessed it firsthand many times. Nothing against anyone pushing into the middle-aged years, but it's frankly an area that was outdated the day it opened. So let's talk Nintendo Land. First and foremost, Dudley Do-Right's Dank Drippy Dick ride can and should be converted to a Donkey Kong ride, specifically thinking along the lines of levels such as Sawmill Thrill from Tropical Freeze. The front of the ride that resembles Mount Rushmore of characters nobody alive today can remember is a perfect place to carve into DK Island, and both the inside line and early parts of the ride could offer an awesome look into the different areas of DK Island, as well as play sweet, sweet David Wise music. Taking over the amphitheater near the entrance of Toon Lagoon, Universal should build Hyrule Castle, but make it fucking big, like a big middle finger to Disney World. If they want to get real nuts, they could make a Hyrule Castle town similar to Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, though I could see that being a bit overkill with Harry Potter already. I would love to see the inside of the theater area be turned into a mixture of Cirque du Soleil with fencing and magic, along with a small ride-like drops like Captain EO in Terminator 2 3D. I know others would want a big Zelda ride, but I honestly feel it lends itself more to a stage production. I think Mario and the Mushroom Kingdom should be more dedicated to making the ultimate play area for kids, with an observation area over and around it, modeled after Rosalina's observatory for parents. There should definitely be the next generation of Autopia in the park, modeled after Mario Kart. For adults, I think it would be pretty cool if they had a legit maze or augmented reality escape style game based on Metroid and Planet Zebes, or Zebes, whatever the fuck you pronounce it, where groups of adults have to think and explore their way out of a doomed cavern. And speaking of live action games, I could see a Splatoon water gun play area going over very well, at least for people who don't mind getting soaked, though obviously not with paint. There are lots of other franchises that take up store space, and while some others like F-Zero seem like prime ride material, the most logical way to include all of them would be a Star Tours-like attraction that takes you through all of the different worlds of Nintendo and Smash Bros. Also, the newer Star Tours, you could easily put a randomizer on the ride, meaning you would get a random different Nintendo world you visit each time you ride. If you're wondering why I haven't said anything about Pokemon, it's because it's not entirely owned by Nintendo and might just not be in the cards. The Pokemon Company would be insane to miss out on this, but legal bullshit makes the world go round. There could also be areas that make use of current Nintendo systems such as 3DS and NX, where you could have big battle stations to transfer data and have big projected battles in Pokemon Stadium or Fire Emblem. And hey, maybe they'll have a waifu cafe for Fire Emblem in Universal Japan, where you can try to woo a costume Fire Emblem waifu for lunch. Is that insensitive of me? Whatever. Japan would eat that shit up. Lastly, my one desire is for them to come up with some drink concoction to rival butterbeer so I can attain my dreams of developing diabetes while strolling through Hyrule. If all of this sounds like too much for one area of a park, keep in mind that Orlando is a festering swampland with lots and lots of space to grow around it. Despite many years of being there, it's still a relative no man's land outside the parks and hotels, at least in the immediate vicinity. Also, Nintendo Land combined with the waning popularity of Harry Potter is about the only thing that one can hope to rival Disney's big dick swinging of Star Wars, Pixar, and fucking Frozen. God, I hate Frozen. But at least that stupid ride keeps everyone else occupied at Epcot. Let me know what you guys think you would do with Nintendo Land, and please be excited, because if recent examples are anything to go by, Universal Studios is about to get a whole lot cooler than Disney World, unless you want to fuck a Navi, of course. Later, dudes!